Thousands of jobless Wisconsin residents, many of them who waited for months for their benefits, are now finding out they have to give some of that money back.
The I-Team's Kristen Burns spoke with one woman who says the state expects her to pay $16,000 back, money she says she never received in the first place.
I was working as an accountant, and right at the end of March, right at the beginning of it all, I was laid off due to COVID.
Stephanie Russell waited 60 days for her unemployment application to be processed. She says she received between 4 to 6 weeks worth of benefits before they suddenly stopped without warning. About 3 months later, she received this letter from the department.
They're saying, oh, you owe us over $16,000, which I never received that.
More than $16,000 the state wants her to pay. She's not alone.
I opened the letter and it said, we've overpaid you $282. Please pay us back as soon as you can. And I noticed that the letter was dated October 1st and the end of the payment period was like September 30th.
Brett Lipschutz waited 5 weeks for his unemployment benefits this summer.
3 days or 2 days after the period ends, you send me a bill telling to pay you back.
The DWD says 62,000 people were overpaid a total of $44 million from April to October. That's 1% of the $4.2 billion total paid out to unemployed residents in that same time.
We already have the ability to waive the overpayment if the overpayment is done by the departmental error. So certainly, again, these are looked at on a case-by-case basis.
That's DWD Transition Director Amy Pahachik. But if it has the ability, does the state agency actually waive those benefits?
Wisconsin law says if the overpayment was made in departmental error, then they can't ask you to pay that money back. But in 2011, the DWD successfully asked lawmakers to change the definition of departmental error, meaning if they overpaid you because of a typo or a computer malfunction or a bookkeeping error or even a mistake they made while transmitting your data, it's not legally considered their fault, and they can still come after you for overpayments.
It's just turning into a nightmare for folks.
Labor attorney Victor Forberger has been following unemployment in Wisconsin for years. He says the department is putting the blame on people who were confused by the unemployment application.
$15,000, $16,000, $20,000 a piece just for accidental mistakes because they didn't understand what they're doing for lack of guidance. Or at some point, the department has to be liable for providing no guidance.
And should the state be responsible for any mistakes made on an application if the person really didn't have any guidance on how to fill it out?
That's one of the reasons why we're looking at revamping the application.
Pahachik tells us they plan to update the unemployment application by the beginning of next year to make it easier for people to apply and avoid problems like overpayments. The department says about 43% of the overpayments are due to a dispute between the employer and their former employee about how much they are owed. Very few of the cases are considered fraudulent, but when they are, the recipient has to pay a penalty on top of what they're owed. Stephanie was asked to pay back thousands more than what she originally got. Her claim was adjudicated because she filed in Wisconsin and Illinois.
I wasn't the one that processed the application. I wasn't the one that approved it. I answered all their questions correctly and honestly.
She's reached out to the department and Governor Tony Evers for help, trying to get anyone to listen.
Basically what's happened is DWD and the governor's office are kind of playing a game of hot potato.
Brett tells us he plans to pay back the $300 the DWD says that he owes. As far as Stephanie's case, we asked the state to look into it, and we are waiting for a resolution. For the I-Team, I'm Kristen Byrne.
Well, as part of this report, the I-Team spoke with a lawmaker in Illinois who has proposed legislation to keep its agency from going after overpayments. You can watch that interview and hear how she thinks it might work in Wisconsin as well. That is on our website right now at tmj4.com/unemployment.